Hi everyone, it's Todd Nauck and I'm back with part 2 of this two-part Venom commission on a Spider-Man sketch cover. As you see here, I'm going in with a, let's see, this is a cool grade number 4, a C4 marker, and what I'm initially doing here is rendering along the lines of the direction that I established with the inked lines from the previous video. So I'm using that as a guide as to the flow and direction of the details of the rendering that I'm doing with the sketch marker here for Venom's, I guess essentially you'd call it his skin, since it's an alien symbiote that's grafted to a human host. So with this technique, with the inking technique I did in the previous video, had kind of given it a kind of almost a scaly texture, and I'm continuing that look with the Copic marker, still allowing the white of the board as a highlight, so almost like another color added to the board. So utilizing the white of the board, I'm keeping in mind where my light source is, which would be kind of up and to the left of Venom. So any plane where that light would, for the most part, fall, that's where I'm going to leave the white of the board still visible, but come in with the color, and it's mostly through the black area there as the colored shape. So once I finish with this cool gray number 4, I'm going to come in with a darker shade. Let's see which one I picked here. I think it was just one step up, so it should be a cool gray number 5, a C5 is my darker shade here. So now I'm blending in from the black of the board, the inks that I did on the board, into that lighter shade of gray, kind of to create a gradation between the two shades of gray and the black of Venom's costume. A number of you have either posted a question or commented on how you are nervous or wondering about the Copic sketch markers making the inked lines bleed when you go into your color stage of your illustration. And I have to say that if you're using a multi-liner, and Copic multi-liners are great, or Pigma microns also work as well, those aren't going to bleed. Neither are the brush pens, like the Pentel Pocket brush pen or the Kuretake brush pen, which is what I used to ink this piece, as you saw in the first video. Those aren't going to bleed or smear when those lines aren't going to smear when you go in with the Copic color. I have not experienced that. Now you want to make sure that your multi-liner lines are completely dry. If they're still a little wet, then you are going to get a little streak there when the tip of the Copic marker runs across that still wet multi-liner line. So make sure your line work is completely dry. Now some brands of multi-liners might not be compatible with the Copic markers. You want to make sure you know what kind of multi-liner you're working with, how it's made, if it's water-based or alcohol-based or spirit-based, as they say in the UK. So stick with a spirit-based, and I think you're fine. And Sharpie markers, don't even go there. Sharpie markers will just do, and Copic markers don't mix. You're going to get bleeding, is what I'm saying there. So, or smearing. So I've learned that lesson the hard way. Do not ink with Sharpies, then go in with your Copic. Stick with your multi-liners, and you're going to be just fine when it comes to your inked art. So let's see. I'm just continuing to shade through here, and now I've done the spider also in a cool gray, but a lighter shade of cool gray than his black portion of his costume. So with the eyes and the spider both the same shade of white, same shade of cool gray to shade out that white sort of look. Same with his teeth. I think I might have used a warm gray on his teeth though, so it looks a little more, actually I'm coming in with a warm gray here just to make him look a little more dingy, make him look a little more monstrous. That's a little more fun. Il Matteo Taku has posted a question just here recently about Copic markers, saying, it appears you're using Copic markers with a Copic sketch nib. Is that correct? Why do you do this? Well, yes, that is correct, Matteo Taku. I really am a big fan of the brush tip of the Copic sketch markers. It's very unique on how it moves across the board, the feel of it. I kind of took to it right away. I like the shapes that it can create. With the more pressure I put down, I can get a thicker shape. The less pressure I press down the thinner shape. So I'm able to create some really fun textures. So I really enjoy that aspect of the sketch markers, and those are my favorite when it comes to the Copic markers. I'm always going to lean towards the sketch markers because I find I really enjoy the finished product there. And I like that the nibs are replaceable. So if they get worn out, then I can just yank it out, slap a new one in, and in moments I'm good to go. You know, the ink will from the reservoir will fill in there, and it's ready to go in just minutes. So so it's really great in that way as well. So that's why I'm using the Copic sketch markers. That's what makes me a big fan of those. So let's see. As I'm coming through here now, what I like to do here, as you've been noticing, I've come in with a shade of pink for the mouth and a different shade of pink for the tongue, and then I'm coming in with a warm gray. So I see pinks as, you know, they're lighter shades of red. Red's a warm color, so I'm using the warm grays to shadow these aspects of Venom's mouth to give it more depth, and also just to make it look a little creepier. I didn't want bright pinks that'd look too frilly, so putting the grays in here kind of gives a little bit more of a kind of a creepy edge to it, just a bit. Makes it look a little darker, not overly dark, not too much so, but just enough to where it's not too day glow. And that was my my goal with this piece, was to keep it kind of muted. So that's one thing. And then you know, if I wanted to, I could come back over that gray with that same shade of pink and blend things in more if I wanted to pop that pink out a little bit more. So layering the colors is great as well. So and now it looks like I'm moving into a background texture. And here, as you can see, as I'm using the brush tip, the ways I press down and lift off the page, I'm creating these, you can see the little squiggles there. They get thicker and then thinner as I move towards the outside of the board. That's a fun aspect of using a brush tip, whether it be an actual brush or a brush pen, or as you see here, the brush nib of the Copic sketch marker is you're going to create textures, and that's going to just, I think, really give the eye a little bit more to play with. So that's my intention here, and just another illustration of why I enjoy the sketch nibs. David Torrey asks, what type of paper are the sketch covers? I want to get one, but I'm worried about it getting through a convention without smearing. Smearing has been a factor on earlier sketch cover stocks. It's been difficult for some of the publishers to find a good cover stock. I know some early Marvel ones have been rough up until Marvel Now. Marvel Now cover stocks tend to be pretty good for the most part, especially the ones coming out most recently. Some of the early Marvel Nows, like the first three, can be a little smeary, but the ones they've got coming out now, like the Superior Photo Spider-Man and Battle of the Atom, those are going to be much better, more like Bristol board, which take the ink and the markers and the multi-liners and everything really well, like you'd get on a commissioned piece on regular Bristol board. DC cover stocks, they've got that same sort of good Bristol board like cover stock. So anything that has a coating to it, a slick coating to it, that's going to smear. You want it to have a little bit of a tooth, and you'll be fine. So I found that those that are pre-Marvel Now, got to be really careful and really give the ink time to dry. But yeah, hopefully that helps. And thanks for tuning in for this sketch cover. It was a lot of fun to do. I've actually got 2 or 3 more sketch covers to post in the near future. So stay tuned, and thanks a lot. Take care.